Hi, my name's Andy Byrne. I'm one of the careers advisors at John Moores University. This short session is just going to give you a quick overview of postgraduate study, some of the reasons that students have for wanting to undertake further study, and just some of the background really in terms of fees and funding and literally just how it all works. So I'm going to turn my camera off in a second and I'll be back with you at the end. So as a careers advisor, when students come in and want to speak to me about they're potentially interested in postgraduate study, one thing I like to focus on is your current situation, but also maybe where we've been up until this point. So what your initial thoughts may have been when you came to university to study for your first degree. So when we studied computer science, journalism, whatever that may have been, what were your initial ideas and thoughts around that time? You know, why did you study that course? Potentially, where did you hope it would lead on to in terms of jobs? And then starting to think about, have those ideas changed? Why is that the case? What are we looking for that to move on to in terms of career ideas? Whether it's just your interest in the subject, whatever it may be. So it's trying to take stock over where have we been in terms of ideas and thoughts, and then looking at those next steps in terms of what we're going to do next. So why postgraduate study? So it is obviously quite a common destination for students when they're finishing their first course. What am I going to do next? Do I want to go into the world of employment? Or would I like to take another year or two to study a little bit further on, whatever that subject is? So these are some of the most common reasons why students may want to consider postgraduate study. There is no one right reason, as I mentioned there on the screen. It might be a combination of some of these. Some of them may be a little bit stronger than others. Most common ones, really, I really enjoyed that subject on my first degree, and I want to study for a bit longer and in a bit more depth. You may also be specialising in one particular area. At master's level, you are starting to specialise a little bit more. An undergraduate course can be a little bit broader. A postgraduate course, you may be specialising in one particular part of that subject area. It may literally be a horses for courses side of things in terms of I want to be whatever it may be in terms of job role, and you need a master's qualification to pursue that particular career path, or you may need to convert to a new career path and there are specific qualifications that you need. And there are some of them I've mentioned there in terms of teaching, law, business, some construction disciplines. You do need to have a postgraduate qualification which is accredited by a particular professional body. Obviously, from a careers point of view, employability is a big issue, and you may be thinking that having a higher level qualification may help you to stand out from the crowd. You may have been recommended by a family member, a tutor or a friend or someone who has undertaken a particular course before, and they think it might be a good idea for you, or the subject might be useful or interesting. And right at the bottom there, we also have one of the more common responses for why you want to undertake postgraduate study, and it might be that you just come towards the end of your course, you're not really sure about job opportunities, or if you want to go straight into employment, but you're not sure what else to do. So again, one of the most common answers I get from students is I'm not really sure what I want to do, and postgraduate study might buy me a little bit more time for some of my plans or some opportunities to come to light. So just in terms of the background to postgraduate study and the differences, sometimes I think a lot of the terminology and the acronyms can be a little bit confusing for students. So I'll just spend a little bit of time just giving you a quick overview to the different aspects of postgraduate study. So firstly, we have the taught side of things. So that is your probably more traditional side to postgraduate study, probably the one you're a little bit more familiar with, usually 1 to 2 years, depending if you do it full-time or part-time. So around modules, so more of a structure to these programs, 3, 4, 5, 6 modules, whatever the course is made up of, and then assignments and exams based over the course of the program. So typical qualifications you get along that are MA, MSc, depending if it's got an arts or science or technical focus. You have some discipline-specific master's qualifications, like an MBA, so a business side of things, and an LLM is a legal side of the spectrum. So an MSc in a scientific subject, an MA in fine art, wherever it may be. So an MA and an MSc are usually 180 credits. We do have postgraduate qualifications that are slightly less than that, maybe around 120, 140 credits, which are usually termed either a postgraduate diploma or postgraduate certificate. And probably your classic examples of those are teacher training postgraduate qualifications, which aren't normally at full master's level. They are normally PGCE or PGD qualifications, which, as I say, normally around 120, 140 credits. And the main difference is that you don't do a full thesis, a full master's level dissertation, which would normally bring you up to the 180 credits. So as I've alluded to already, quite a lot of the time with more vocational areas, the master's qualifications are linked in with professional qualifications as well. So a professional body for whatever discipline it is accredits that master's. So it can be used as a conversion course, meaning for those students who didn't do a first degree in a subject, the master's is their opportunity to convert to this new profession. So I've put some examples there: accountancy, human resources, law, surveying, where professional bodies link in with universities and they accredit the master's course, meaning it hits their requirements for you to get to those entry-level, degree-level opportunities. On the other side of the spectrum, we have research-based qualifications. So your starting point for these is master's level in research. So the more traditional one is an MPhil. You do have MResers, you do have MA research and MSc research, again, depending if it's an art or science or technical based course. They are usually 1 to 2 years, again, depending if it's full-time or part-time. Your classic research qualification is obviously a PhD, which is a full-on research program, 3 years full-time up to 6 or 7 years part-time. And again, the last few years we've seen more of a professional emphasis on some of these research qualifications, so you can now get specific professional doctorates in areas that I've mentioned there, so engineering, business or education. So in terms of the criteria and the fees and the funding side of things, a lot of these areas will depend on each university. So different programs within a university, different universities will have different entry criteria in terms of whether you need a 2-1, a first, or if a 2-2 is okay. So it's definitely worthwhile doing your research to find out what the entry criteria are for your specific program of interest. But obviously the emphasis is on you to study to a higher academic level. So yes, we have an interest in the subject area, but are you able to study to that higher level of study? Applications, apart from some areas like teaching, law and social work, which have a central admissions body, most master's applications are direct to a university. So there's no UCAS like there was for your first degree, apart from those areas I've already mentioned. And that application process will involve an application form and normally a supporting statement relating around why you're interested in that course, why you want to study to master's level, where you see this as part of your bigger career plan possibly. And again, closing dates will vary. If you're applying for a research-based course, then you will probably have to start bringing together a mini research proposal over what you're trying to achieve, your interest in that subject, where you see that research is useful, etc., etc. On the fees side of things, again, they can be very varied. Each university, for the majority of courses, will set their own fees, so there can be a huge difference between universities. A few years ago, the UK government introduced a student loan, which does vary, depend on which part of the home nations you're from, Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales or England, but each do have a postgraduate student loan to some degree. There are other scholarships and bursaries available, which can sometimes be based on what course you're studying, your background circumstances, or your previous university of study. So, for example, John Moores does have an alumni discount of 20% for previous undergraduate students who want to undertake a postgraduate course at JMU. Postgraduate research starts to get a little bit complicated in terms of the fees and funding side of things. Traditionally, most PhDs were fully funded, so you were covered for your tuition fees and also received a bursary. As there are now more opportunities to study at PhD level and Masters in Research level, a postgraduate student loan was introduced last year. So again, that's a chance to get some additional funding if fully funded PhDs aren't available. So there are lots to consider. The idea behind this short video was just to give you a bit of background knowledge and information, starting to look at some of the main reasons behind postgraduate study. But as a careers team, we do offer advice on a one-to-one basis for our students and our alumni. And this service is for life, basically. So there's no restriction on previous students getting support from the careers service. And that might be with a careers advisor like myself, just talking about specific options for you and your previous interest, your previous course. We have a team of employability advisors who can help with applications and personal statements and give feedback. We have a whole suite of digital resources and online support, which can be anything from webinars to information, careers videos, jobs, etc. on the careers team website, which you can see there. But just to give you some links to some external sources of information, the two websites there do exactly what they suggest they will do. The Find a Masters website focuses on the master's side of things, so courses available, fees, funding, maybe if you're interested in studying abroad, they have a whole host of information for a large number of countries. And Find a PhD does exactly the same, but from a research-based focus. So that's it from me. I hope you found that video useful. If you do need any support from the careers team, please use the links on screen to get in touch with us. We are still available for support. As you can see, we are working remotely and providing support from home. So please do not hesitate to get in touch with us. Okay, bye for now, and I'll speak to you soon.